A simple corn milk recipe. Yet some people have turned recipes like this into million-dollar businesses. So, what makes this recipe so special? It's not just the corn, and it's not just the milk. The real secret is in the ratio, how finely you blend the corn, how you strain it, and how you cook it. Get these steps right, and you can make corn milk that's naturally golden, rich, creamy, and silky smooth, without all that separation and sediment. Today, I'll show you exactly how to do it. Let's get started. First, let's start by choosing the right type of corn. This is a very important step if you want your corn milk to have a rich flavor, a natural corn aroma, and good thickness. Choose corn with plump, full kernels that are relatively uniform in color and have reached a mature stage, from moderately ripe to slightly mature. Very young corn usually contains more water and less starch, so the resulting milk tends to be thinner. In contrast, more mature corn contains more solids and starch, which can help give the milk a richer body and better natural thickness. However, there's no need to choose corn that is overly mature, with kernels that have become hard, dry, or wrinkled. For this recipe, moderately ripe to slightly mature corn offers the best balance of thickness, flavor, and smoothness. Now, cut off both ends of the corn and remove the older outer husks. It's nice to know that we see each other all over the world. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you can subscribe by clicking the subscribe button. It's great to see your support, but don't throw away all the husks just yet. Keep the tender inner husks. We can use them together with the corn cobs to make the cooking liquid, adding a subtle natural corn aroma. And here's another part that many people usually throw away: corn silk. Keep the young, soft, and clean corn silk. Corn silk and corn husks have a subtle characteristic aroma, so when simmered together with the corn cobs, they can help bring out the natural aroma of the corn without relying on added flavoring. Next, wash the tender husks and corn silk thoroughly. Then place them in the pot. Finally, wash the whole corn cobs thoroughly and let them drain before preparing them. Don't underestimate this simple step, because a delicious glass of corn milk doesn't begin with blending or cooking. It starts with choosing corn at the right stage of maturity, cleaning the ingredients properly, and making good use of every usable part. Next, we'll grate the corn. This is where we can make the most of the kernels without wasting any usable parts. Normally, people only grate the kernels from the two main sides of the corn cob. But after grating the main sections, turn the cob around and gently grate the remaining kernels from the other sides. This helps you collect more corn without wasting usable ingredients. However, there's one important thing to keep in mind. Avoid scraping too close to the corn cob. The area closest to the cob contains more fiber and may give the corn milk a slightly astringent aftertaste. So, simply grate until most of the kernels have been removed. That's enough. Once you've finished grating, weigh the corn. Here, we have slightly more than 1 kilogram, but for this recipe, I'll use about 1 kilogram of corn kernels. If you want a richer, more concentrated corn flavor, you can adjust the amount of corn or slightly reduce the amount of water later. And don't throw away the corn cobs just yet. We'll use these leftover cobs, together with the cleaned tender corn husks and corn silk, to make the base liquid. For 1 kilogram of corn kernels, I'll prepare about 2 liters of base liquid for the corn milk. However, some water will evaporate during cooking, so I'll start with about 2.5 liters of water and then adjust it to around 2 liters after cooking. Cover the pot and bring the water to a boil. Once the water starts boiling, reduce the heat to medium-low and let it gently simmer for about 20 minutes. During this time, the water will absorb some of the natural aroma from the corn cobs and husks, creating a lightly fragrant base liquid to use in the next step. After about 20 minutes, remove all the corn cobs and husks from the pot. Don't throw away the liquid. This is the base liquid we'll use to blend the corn. Instead of using plain water, this method allows us to make better use of the natural flavors from the ingredients while making the most of every usable part of the corn. After cooking, we'll adjust the remaining liquid to around 2 liters. Let the water cool until it is warm. Now we come to the most important step. Blending the corn. Add the corn to the blender in batches, add enough of the corn cooking water, and blend until very smooth. The goal at this stage is to break down the corn as thoroughly as possible, releasing the solids, starch, and natural flavor of the corn into the milk. And here's a little trick to help us make better use of the corn. After each batch, strain the mixture through a fine mesh strainer to separate the larger pulp. But don't throw the pulp away just yet. Return the pulp to the blender along with the next portion of corn and some of the corn cooking water. Then blend again. Repeat the process. Blend, strain, reuse the pulp. Blend again until all of the corn has been processed. Where are you watching from? Please leave a comment to let me know. For the final batch, add the remaining pulp to the blender with a little corn cooking water. Blend thoroughly and strain it again. This helps recover more of the solids and flavor from the corn, while also reducing food waste. Once you've strained the mixture through the strainer, strain the corn milk one more time using a nut milk bag or fine mesh cloth. This step is especially important if you want the corn milk to have a smooth, pleasant texture. The fine mesh strainer will remove the larger pieces of fiber, while the filter bag helps remove even smaller particles of fiber that remain, resulting in a smoother milk. However, there's one thing you should avoid. Don't press or squeeze the pulp too hard. If you squeeze it too aggressively, a larger amount of very fine solids and starch particles may pass through the filter bag. This can make the milk cloudier and may increase the amount of sediment that settles at the bottom during storage. So, at the final stage, simply squeeze it gently to recover the remaining milk. And of course, don't throw away the corn pulp. After straining, the pulp can still be used to make cornbread, pancakes, muffins, or many other baked goods. If you prefer corn milk with more fiber and don't care too much about having an extremely smooth texture, you can also strain it less thoroughly and keep more of the smaller pulp particles. But if your goal is a glass of corn milk that is smooth, easy to drink, and has less sediment, straining it thoroughly through a fine mesh strainer and then through a fine filter bag is the better option. Next, we're going to start cooking the corn milk. First, add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You only need a very small amount. The salt won't make the milk taste salty. Instead, it helps balance and bring out the natural sweetness of the corn. Place the pot over medium heat and start heating it gradually. From the beginning, stir frequently, paying particular attention to the bottom of the pot. Because corn milk contains starch and natural solids from the corn, the hotter and thicker the mixture becomes, the more easily it can stick to the bottom. It's best to use a heavy-bottomed pot, a thick-walled pot, or a non-stick pot. These types of pots help distribute heat more evenly and reduce the risk of the milk sticking or burning on the bottom. Once the milk is heated evenly, continue cooking over low to medium heat and stir frequently. As the temperature rises, the starch and natural solids from the corn will gradually create a thicker consistency. At the same time, the golden color of the milk will become more uniform, and the aroma of cooked corn will become more pronounced. When the milk begins to gently simmer, lower the heat. Continue cooking at a very gentle simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes, stirring continuously, especially along the bottom of the pot. Don't let the milk boil too vigorously. Excessive heat won't make the milk taste better. Instead, it can cause the starch and solids in the milk to stick to the bottom, resulting in scorching, a burnt smell, or even causing the milk to boil over. Once the milk is thoroughly heated, has thickened slightly, and releases a noticeable aroma of cooked corn, you can turn off the heat. There's no need to cook it until the milk becomes very thick. Remember that as the corn milk cools and is refrigerated, it may continue to thicken. If you want a creamier finished texture, you can add a small amount of unsweetened whole milk and stir well. If you prefer a completely dairy-free version, you can replace it with a little unsweetened plant-based milk, such as oat milk or soy milk. And if you prefer it sweeter, taste it first, then add a little maple syrup or sugar, according to your preference. After cooking, Let the milk cool down for a short while. At this point, the milk has cooled and become thicker, richer, and smoother. If you don't drink it all right away, pour it into clean bottles or jars, seal them tightly, and refrigerate them as soon as possible. After refrigeration, homemade corn milk may still develop a small amount of natural sediment. This is normal because homemade corn milk does not contain the industrial stabilizers used in many commercially produced beverages. However, by blending the corn thoroughly, filtering it finely, and controlling the heat properly during cooking, we can significantly reduce sediment and help minimize separation during storage. If you notice a little sediment after refrigeration, simply shake the bottle gently before drinking. You can enjoy it on its own, serve it with breakfast, or drink it as a delicious homemade corn milk. And here is our finished result: a naturally golden, smooth corn milk with a rich corn aroma and minimal sediment. No complicated ingredients or special equipment are needed. Just choose the right level of corn ripeness, blend it thoroughly, filter it properly, and control the temperature during cooking. And that's it. Our homemade corn milk is complete. The video ends here. If you have any comments, please leave a comment below. If you find the video interesting, please give me a like. Don't forget to share it with your relatives and friends. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Goodbye. See you in the next video.